Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is Stranger Days. And in America, we have free speech, freedom of expression, the ability to critique others, especially those in power. It's kind of an American pastime to make fun of those people that are higher up on the ladder than you, especially when it comes to political commentary, when it comes to the jokes people like to tell about the leaders of the world. But that doesn't apply to everywhere else. In fact, there are many countries where if you criticize the powers that be, you might find yourselves, dismembered, chained up to a forklift if your name happens to be Jamal Khashoggi. But Netflix, on the other hand, they're not against criticizing American politics. But if they get caught doing anything outside of the U.S., well, they definitely kowtow faster than they did pulling Kevin Spacey from House of Cards, as we see here with Netflix pulls an episode of Patriot Act in Saudi Arabia. That seems kind of weird to say, but yeah, it's true. Hasan Minaj's show, Patriot Act, a show that, all things considered, I forgot existed. I knew it existed. I've heard of it. Haven't watched it. I watched Michelle Wolf's show when it was on over the summer because that was pretty heavily politicized or publicized. This one, on the other hand, kind of goes under the radar. But anyway, it says here, the episode featured segments criticizing the country in the wake of journalist Jamal Khashoggi's murder. The Netflix has removed the episode from its platform in Saudi Arabia. The episode in question featured a segment that criticized the country for the killing of the journalist. Last year, Minaj levied blame on the country's crown prince Mohammed bin Salman for Khashoggi's murder, calling it the biggest tragedy of the MBS era, which many would probably agree, although there are people out there that would disagree, and they say that Khashoggi deserved to die because he had some beliefs that were antithetical to theirs. It's interesting where the idea of where the line of how you value human life boils down to politics and beliefs. I just find that to be very fascinating. The commentaries and the takes off of that one were fun to watch. Now, it goes on to say later in the show, Minaj also suggested that Silicon Valley tech companies should cut financial ties with the country. According to Netflix, the company received a legal request from the Saudi government to remove the episode from its platform, though the episode remains available on YouTube. Well, yeah, that makes sense that they would do that, considering the fact that inside, what's the main city in Saudi Arabia? I forget now. They've got like moral police. They've got literally police that go around and make sure you are upstanding, that you are upholding the morals of the Quran, that you are upholding the morals and the ideals of Muhammad. They do this. They do. There's a great Gabriel Iglesias, Fluffy, bit where he talks about going to Saudi Arabia and then heading off into the desert and performing out into the desert because they had to get away from the moral police. They had to get away from these religious authoritarians, and they had to sneak off into the desert in order to do it. And it was one of the princes who organized the whole thing. Kind of funny, isn't it? That's the kind of funny that, just makes me chuckle a little bit on the inside. Now, it said, according to Netflix, the company received the legal request from the Saudi government. Okay, so a Netflix spokesperson added in a statement, "We strongly support artistic freedom and removed the episode only in Saudi Arabia after we had received a valid legal request and to comply with local law. The episode is still available on Netflix in the US." Now, that's the whole thing. The episode's still available here in the US. It's available in every other country where they have Netflix, with the exception of Saudi Arabia. And I understand why Netflix made this call. They made this call because they don't want to lose access to that country. Their job is to, put out Netflix in every country they can to make as much money as they can. They're a capitalist for-profit company. Completely makes sense. What's interesting, though, is the response back to this has been a lot about free speech and free expression and things like that. Should Netflix uphold that? Should Netflix have denied the request from the Saudi government and kept Hasan Minaj's episode up there? Well, the thing is in the United States, absolutely. Outside of the United States, those laws don't mean shit. Copyright law doesn't mean shit outside of the United States. Copyright law doesn't mean anything outside of here, right? Freedom of speech, First Amendment, free expression means nothing outside of these borders, if we're talking about it from our constitutional perspective. Now, other countries out there also have free speech and also have free expression, so it's kind of a blanket rule in many places. But still, Netflix kind of has to sit there and adhere to what the Saudi government wants. But it also goes to show you that the Saudi government is very, very, very restrictive in who can be critical of them. Like I said, if you're super critical of MBS, and they'll dismember you, chained to a forklift, and then slowly remove your body from a Saudi consulate in Turkey, and then act like they did nothing wrong. Because that's just the way that it works. That's just what happened. That's just what went down, right? That's just the whole thing. I would like to see Netflix take a stand against MBS and take a stand against the Saudi government in that regard. I'd love to see our government take a stand against the Saudi government, the state-sponsored terror that they still put out there, the fact that 15 of the 19 hijackers on 9/11 came from Saudi Arabia, the fact that we kowtow and bend over backwards for that country, never mind the fact that they have outright slaughtered American citizens, they have butchered and murdered, destroyed American citizens. But then again, it's we get oil from them, so we have to work. Oh, they're going to buy weapons from us. Well, that's good. Money over morals is the name of the game in politics, obviously, and money over morals is the name of the game in pretty much everything. I wouldn't expect Netflix to stand up to them. I wouldn't expect the government to stand up to them. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, 2,997 Americans' lives who were lost on 9/11 and Jamal Khashoggi, who was a U.S. permanent resident, mean nothing in the overall grand scheme of things involving world geopolitics and Saudi Arabia. It means dick all. So I wouldn't expect Netflix to kowtow to them. Not one goddamn bit. Sad. It is sad, to be honest with you. But it is the world we live in. And until the people of Saudi Arabia rise up themselves and fight back, and there are people there who are. There are women who remove the hijab only to be jailed indefinitely. People who are murdered for fighting back. People who are critical of MBS and are subsequently taken out back and beaten with a tire iron. There are people out there who get hurt by trying to criticize their government. We have it easy here in the United States in regards to who we can criticize. And that, I think, is the biggest takeaway from this. It's a reminder that we have it easy here compared to other places. So that's the worst part about it, is this is a simple reminder that not everywhere else in the world is as free as us, is as protected as us. And unfortunately, there's not a goddamn thing we can do about it unless we hold them accountable by using sanctions or by cutting off funding or financing. Look, the government of Saudi Arabia is already screwed enough as it is. Oil is not going to be as profitable in the upcoming years as they think. They're desperately trying to find new sources of revenue, and they'll do whatever it takes. But, God forbid their populace hear bad words about the guy in charge. Or God forbid you say anything about the guy in charge. You might end up having the last known photo of you be your severed hand chained to a forklift. The rest of your body is MIA. Anyway, I leave it to you, your thoughts, your opinions. Leave them below in the comments. My name is Matt Jarbo. This has been Stranger Days. Have yourself a great day, guys, and peace out.